Ma'am, shall I start?
Yes, Anika, start. Sanika, start. Yeah. Sanika, I hope you are able to hear me. Sanika, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I was not.
Yeah, now you can start.
Good morning to one and all. I, Tanika Shashikant Chirisagar from Standard 9B, on behalf of SSP School and Junior College, welcome Honorable Principal Miss Shivali Jagtap, respected Supervisor Mrs. Vaishali Rao, and today's guest speaker Mr. Prashant Salvi. Our school has entered 58 glorious year. On account of it, there have been webinars for the students on various topics. Here is a glimpse of webinars that has been organized by our school. In the month of June, we had a webinar on live yoga demo session for students by our alumnus, Mr. Ajay Naik. In the month of July, we had a webinar on health and hygiene for girls by Dr. Rashmi Veer Bapat. In the month of August, we had felicitation of alumnus. In the month of September, we had a webinar on Say No to Junk Food by Mrs. Monali Tavri. In the month of October, we had a webinar on conservation and preservation of forts by Mr. Vaibhav Patil. In the month of November, we had a webinar on career opportunities in sports cricket by Mr. Chetan Suryavamshi. Today, we have with us Mr. Prashant Salvi, alumnus of batch 2005, as the guest speaker, who is recently working as Senior Support Analyst CLSA in Singapore. To appraise you all, Mr. Prashant sir was head prefect of our school, and he is hardworking and participated in co-curriculum activities and had bagged many prizes in it. Let us have some glimpses of his school days memories. Today's webinar topic is Career Opportunities in Information and Technology Beyond Coding. The following points will be discussed by Sir. Why students should learn and understand coding early on. Which are the online resources for self-learning especially designed for young students? What is coding? What is software development? Application of IT in every industry and domain. Various stages in software development and the career opportunities at each stage. IT infrastructure and related careers. Now, I request Mr. Prashant Salvi, sir, to begin with the session. Over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Sanika, for a wonderful introduction. And also thank you for sharing some of the photos from from the school days. It was really good to see those photos. So, good morning, everyone. Uh, I know it's a little bit early in the morning. I think that would be especially for me. For you guys, you would be starting early day in, day out. So, welcome all of you. So, Christmas is around the corner, and I guess this will be your last webinar for the year. So I hope it's informative and adds some value to you guys. So let me just share the screen in a moment. So everyone can see the screen. So let me give you a brief idea of what we'll try to achieve in this short span of next 30 to 40 minutes as a part of this seminar. Also knowing that we have students right from standard 8 till standard 12, and also students from 11, 12 commerce and 11, 12 science. I will try to include information that will be useful in some way to each and every one of us. To start with, what we'll look at is why it is important to understand coding for all of us and how it is really easy to do so. Also, from a career point of view, we will see what are the various areas where in technology we have career opportunities that you can explore. And these career opportunities may not be limited to coding. So let us begin. Also, what we'll try to do is we'll try to keep this session interactive. Considering we are not sitting face to face, we can have some question and answer sessions at each after every regular interval during the session, and also a question and answer session at the end of the seminar. So I would suggest everyone to participate actively in the same. So let us begin. So we can begin with what part technology plays in our life and how exposed we as kids are as young adults. And as we grow up, the exposure to technology nowadays has been increasing endlessly. But as we see, the question that we would like to answer here is, are young people naturally good with technology? And as we all know, the answer to this is a definite yes, because I'm sure all of us have played computer games or video games. And has anyone ever taught you how to play games? The answer to that is a definite no. Does all of us use video conferencing or texting on our own? The answer to that is yes. And again, no one has taught us how to do so. Also, all of us, you can browse any website that you want, any content that you want on YouTube. And also, that is something you picked up instinctively. So now the other question that arises is, uh, uh, as young students, you interact with technology very frequently and very easily. But the other question is, can we create our own technology as fluently? And unfortunately, the answer to that question is a no. But that really doesn't have to be so. Now, because if we compare technology to something like learning to read, then interacting with technology is like reading, and expressing yourself through technology or creating new technology is like writing. So it's just an extension of reading. So once you can read something really well, you are already halfway there. So when it's time to uh, create your own technology, you just need to work on a few things and understand the basics, and you can also start creating the technology along with interacting the technologies. And creating the technologies on your own at this point is very important, because you'll see technology has become a part of our day-to-day lives. And as you grow up and take up any career, not just in computer engineering, no matter what you become, let's say you become an accountant or a scientist, you will be dealing with uh, equipments that will have code inbuilt into it, or you will be dealing with softwares that will help you perform various tasks. So once you learn coding, it becomes easier to interact with such tools and softwares. So let us, considering we have, again, students from various age groups, we'll just touch upon what exactly is coding and where all coding gets used, or the code gets used. So a code is basically, in a very simple terms, a set of instructions that we give to a computer to perform a specific task. So also the code can be referred to as a computer program or a software. So it's just that a computer program or software would generally have a big size of code, which helps it to perform various operations with related to any given one task. So let's say if you're using WhatsApp, WhatsApp is a software which helps you send messages to your friends, send them send them photos, make calls, and all those things. You can make a group, and the functionality of that particular software can go on. Also, the instructions that we give to a computer has to be in such a way that the computer understands it. So the instructions that we give are in a form of a programming language, and I believe you have been introduced to a few of the programming languages already. So examples of programming languages can be C, C++, Java, Python, and the list is endless. You also need to remember is, you'll always hear a new programming language coming up every now and then, but the basics of every programming language remains the same. So once you understand one programming language, it's really easy to understand any other programming language and work with it. Also, when we think of coding, we instinctively think of a computer or a tablet or a mobile device. So what we will like to do is we will try to break free out of that idea and understand how uh, code is used in all day in, day out equipments that we kind of use. So let's just take a look at a few of them. So as I said, it's not limited to computer or mobile devices. So all our day-to-day devices like a TV remote or a TV itself, a refrigerator or a car would have code built in into them. So you'll see a small, if you see if you ever have opened a TV remote or a TV, you will see a green color chip inside. So the code is built into that chip to perform limited tasks. So for a TV remote, the number of tasks it will perform is limited. So that code is already written into the chip and it's already a part of the TV remote. And that's how it helps us to change the channels, increase and lower the volume, and so on. Same is the case with any other uh, devices that you can find around you. Also, if you think of coding from career perspective, as I already mentioned, so it doesn't have to be limited to computer engineering or information technology or any computing related career. So no matter what career you take up, you will be interacting with technology in some or the other way. So you can become a chartered accountant, an accountant. You will still be dealing with softwares which will help you perform your accounting tasks. You can you can become a doctor and you will be dealing with medical devices that help you perform your task. You can be a civil engineer and you'll be dealing with equipments which will help you with the measurements, etc. So all of these equipments will have a certain code built into it. And when you understand how a code works, and when you can actually code on your own, it becomes easy to interact with these devices. So we looked at what a code is and where all the code gets used. Now, a question might arise, who can code? And again, we might think in our minds that you need to be mature to a certain age to start coding, but that indeed isn't so. So age is not a limitation to start coding. So considering all of us are students here, and the way we operate is whenever a new subjects get introduced to us, we think in terms of preparing for the subject from the exam point of view and getting marks. So I know that computers and its basics are a part of the curriculum, and you would learn it with the same mindset that you would learn any other subject. So it doesn't have to be the case that you don't have to think that you need to be good at any particular subject to be good at coding. So anyone who can read, write, which is obviously all of us, can easily start coding as well. Also, if you think you need any other skill, uh, you need to know any other skill before you start coding, the answer is again no. So you can start coding from scratch at any given point at any given age. So researchers have already shown that you can teach coding to a class 1 student as well. So it's that easy. So as we already mentioned, so the ease with which you use all the digital equipments, may it be gaming or computers or mobile phones, it's with the same ease you can also start creating your own codes and creating your own technology. So the question we might again ask ourselves is, why haven't we done so far? So why haven't we started coding so far? I guess one of the reasons to that would be whenever we get introduced to coding, like majority of us would be introduced to coding at school, and it would look something like this. And at the first look, it looks like something complex. And even if you read through it, it wouldn't make any sense. So you don't have to kind of create those mental blocks when it comes to learning coding. And there are always better ways of learning coding as well. So we'll just try to look at the resources that are available online, using which anyone can learn coding very easily, and it doesn't have to be in the text format. So there are some really good sites which will help you learn to code, and they have a pictorial representation of coding where you can just take courses where you drag and drop the options and the code really works. So these sites, so if you look at the first one, Scratch, it is developed by one of the best educational institutes in the world, that is MIT. And it has been developed with the intention of teaching students to code on their own. And it's like a social media platform for young coders as well. So maybe what we'll do is we'll try to look at that, take a look at that website so that you get an idea of how easy uh, coding really is. So we have gone to the first website, that is scratch.mit.edu. So I'll also share these details with ma'am so that she can pass it on to all of you. So once you go to this website, this is the page that you will land on. So here, if you go to the ideas tab, so you'll have tutorials to choose from. So when you go to the tutorials tab, you'll have all the options for learning, and you can start pick with any one of the tutorials. So it has been formatted in a logical way, so you can go sequentially. But if it's up to you, you can explore in any sequence, and it doesn't really matter. So, and the coding that you learn here, you can use it to create animations, arts, music, games, and also uh, while telling stories. So I'm sure we have elocution and storytelling competition that we have in the schools, if I remember it right. So next time, maybe you have a storytelling competition. What you can do is you can make your own animation and run it in the background while telling the story. What we'll also do is we'll just take a look at, so we saw the tutorials. There's also an option where you can create your own code and see how it works. And the explore option is where others have already created their code and shared it. And you can also see what the code looks like. So if this is somebody else's project that we are looking at, if we click on see inside, there will be a code that they have written. So what we'll quickly do is also take a look at a short video uh, which talks about how you can use the website. So let me just check the options here of the screen share before I start the video. Just give me a moment. Okay, so we'll quickly take a look at this video. So Renuka ma'am, you can just stop me if the audio is not uh, audible to you or the students. So I'll just play the video right now.
With Scratch, you can make your own stories, games, and animations. Let's start by grabbing a move block. We can click the block to run it. There are many other blocks to choose from. Check out the different categories. Let's go to the sound category and grab a play sound until done block. I'll snap this onto our move block. When do we want these code blocks to run? Add an event block on top to start the code. I'll add the when green flag clicked block. You can easily reorder or delete these blocks at any time. Add as many characters as you want to your project and code each one. Check out the tutorials page for ideas and inspiration.
So as we saw in this video, it's indeed that easy to start your coding journey, and it is that interesting, and you kind of get connected to it very quickly. Like you get latched onto a game as well. So maybe we can also take a look at one of the code that a student had made. As Christmas is around the corner, it's related to Christmas, and we'll see what all functionality a young student has built into it. So you can read through the instructions here. It says that a project made for winter and Christmas, and it has given the instructions on how to interact with this particular software that he has developed. So he says drag the sliders to change the snowflakes, C to change the character, space to change the backdrop, and press H to hide the slider. So we'll try to do all of that that he has mentioned here. So we'll try to move the sliders and the color of the snowflakes will change. The size will change. Press C to add characters. If we click inside, this is the code that we see. So we can also come back to this website at the end of our seminar if time permits and try to create a code of our own. So until then, we'll just move ahead now. So far what we looked at was why coding is important and how easy it is to start to learn to code. As we saw on our previous website, that we can use drag and drop options to start coding. And once you learn the drag and drop options, the text options are just an extension of it. So you can use the pictorial and drag and drop options to understand the concept. And then the text version of coding will become an extension of it. You will easily pick up the text version as well once you understand the basics of coding in your head. So moving on, now what we'll do is we'll also try to take a look at, just give me a moment. So we saw why to learn coding, where to learn coding, and who should learn coding. We also just take a look at some pointers which tells us about what are the advantages of learning coding and how it helps us beyond the technology world as well. So what coding does is once you learn to code, you can also code to learn. So again, I'll go back to the example of reading and writing. So once you learn to read, you can also read to learn. So you can read books on your own, you can read novels on your own, you can read anything that is available in any book or over the internet on your own and learn. The same goes with coding. So once you learn to code, you will code to learn as well. So also you'll learn to express your ideas and be more creative about it. And also you'll learn how to implement your idea in reality. So the best part of coding is it gives you control, and each of our individual ideas you can express using your own creative way. So it also teaches us to reason systematically, which can be used in any walk of life. So it teaches us the core principle of design as we see, and turning the ideas into reality. So we start off with simple ideas, but as you get well versed with coding, you can pick up complex ideas, break them down into simple ideas, and then implement everything step by step to give the complex idea, to bring the complex idea into reality. You'll also learn to work in a team. So, and these are definitely skills which you can apply in all walks of your life. So now we have seen about how easy it is to code. Now we'll try to take a look at coding from a professional perspective, from a more organized perspective. So as we have standard 11 and 12 students with us, and I'm sure most of you have already decided what path you're going to take after your 12th standard. For some of you, technology might be the path. And also there will be many of us who still are contemplating what path to take ahead. And to them, uh, I would try to propose technology as an option, which they should definitely consider, considering the scope it has in terms of the job opportunities and full-time career. And also, I would like you to have an open mind and not write off technology as a career option just because you think you don't have exposure to it so far, or you think you need to know coding to be to choose technology as a career and so on. So my suggestion would be to have an open mind and explore the technology option when you're choosing your career. So we looked at how easy a code can be. Now we'll look at how we any software is built. So this will be a very high level look. A lot of detail kind of goes into each part of it, but we'll not get into the details. What we'll try to understand is, uh, considering what we know so far, we will try to extend that knowledge a bit, and we'll also see what are the job roles that are available in each area of software development and information technology. So if we take a look at building a software, and let's take an example of any mobile app, let's say Book My Show, which we use to book tickets online. So any app is, or any website consists of three parts. So the front end is the part that you see on the screen of your mobile phones or your computers. The back end is the server where the logic runs, and the database is where all the data goes. So if we think of Book My Show, so the front end that you see uh, is where you book tickets. And also, as you may know, when you're booking tickets, you and your friends are booking tickets from their respective phones at the same time. You can't book the same seat, right? So all that logic takes place in the backend, and all your account data, etc., all your booking data, it goes in the database. So the job roles connected to this part of software engineering would be front end developer, a UX or user experience design developer. So what a UX designer is, basically it designs, is someone who designs your front end experience. So whatever app you use, you'll always see that it is really easy to use. So that is because a lot of design thinking has gone into it, and there is a reason it becomes easy to use. So UX designer is someone who designs that for us. So backend developer is someone who develops the backend logic on how the logic will be implemented to make sure, in case of Book My Show, not two participants get the same tickets, etc. Then we have a job role called database administrator, who takes care of the database, who builds the database and maintains it. So we looked at the software by breaking it in three parts now, like the front end, back end, and database. Now we'll also look at how the entire software development process works in a big organization. And this is where you will also know that coding or software developer is only one part of the entire software development process. Now, let's say you have an idea to develop a software. And so from the idea to the actual software development, there are certain standards that are followed in every organization and or in every uh, process of software developments, which are listed here. So first part is the requirement gathering and analysis, is where you you decide and document what all your software will do. Then someone designs how the software will be developed. That is generally a software architect. And then once the design is ready, the coders will start working on the coding. So until this process itself, you will see there are various phases involved, and each phase, various teams work separately, which has nothing to do with coding. So for requirement gathering, let's say we'll have a business analyst who will take a requirement from someone who wants to develop a software but has no knowledge of how to build a software, and pass it on to the people who understand the technology and build the software. So a software architect would be someone who will decide how the software will be built, how the data will be designed. And then the coding process starts, where the software engineer or the coder starts coding. So once the coder develops a part, let's say a part of the software or the complete software, we will have it, it has to be tested. And there is something called as quality analysis or testing, which goes on. So if a software is supposed to perform a payment task, let's say it's Paytm. So what it does is the coder will develop the software which does the payment, and the tester will check whether it is working as expected. If there are any errors found, the tester will give back the code to the coder, and the coder will again fix the issues and give it back to testing. So there are multiple iterations happening here between testing and coding until the tester feels that the product is up to the mark to go to the next phase. So when it goes to the next phase is when uh, the actual code is deployed. So the actual, if it's an app, it is available on your app store. So if it's, let's say, Paytm, so that's when the developers will deploy the app on the app store, and it will be available for users to download. So once users download again and they start using in the real world, again there are problems that are faced. There is no scenario where any software is 100% functional at any given point. So once the users actually start using the software in real world, they can end up in many problems. You'll see there are some scenarios where the software doesn't work, or it crashes, or there are a lot of users more than expected and the software becomes slow. So that's where the production support engineer comes into picture, where they interact with the users and make sure whatever problem they face are taken care of. And also these engineers take care of your system running day in, day out. Let's say you're using Facebook and Instagram, you'll see these are the softwares which run 24/7. It's a big news when these softwares go down. So these are the production support engineers are the ones who make sure that these software run day in, day out without any issues. So also this entire process of requirement gathering until software development and maintenance, it is overseen by a project manager. So as you can see, coder is not the only job profile that technology has to offer. There are this is the shortest list that I can come up with, and in every area there is more detail. So as you explore each area, there is more details. So let's say if you're a tester, you can be a manual or automated tester, or you can create test scenarios automatically, which will perform the testing for you. So So far, we started off with a small piece of code, and we saw how to write a small piece of code. Then we looked at what a software consists of. Any functional software, the functionality can be small to very complex, and how it can be uh, distributed in three parts as front end, back end, and database. Also, we saw the process of how a software is developed, the entire software development life cycle, if we look at it in short. Now we'll look at any IT company or any IT company or any company which has a technology systems running. What all are the parts that they need to support? So again, if we take example of Instagram, so the softwares that we see on our phones connect to the Instagram servers, and as we know, the servers are always up. So uh, when it comes to servers, handling servers, these people are different from your coders, testers, your project managers, or your production support engineers. So there are a complete there's a completely different team with different skills who takes care of your servers and make sure that the servers are always running and are always healthy. Then there is always a term that you must have heard is network. So whenever you connect to internet on your phone, it is connected, you get the service via your Wi-Fi or your internet service provider, that is also your voice service provider. So it either comes from the tower or your Wi-Fi device. So a lot of networking goes behind the stage to make sure that you you receive the Wi-Fi and it keeps running as well. Also, a part of server management is server visualization, where server visualization and virtualization, where let's say one server, physical server, can be distributed into many virtual servers. That's why even if you look at your computer lab, it can have one server and many students can connect to that one common server. Also, all the databases are handled by a separate set of people with separate expertise who are called the database admins. And also, IT security is one of the major parts. So you must have always heard of any website getting hacked or any, let's say, Google's data getting leaked. So to make sure any such incident doesn't happen, there is a separate team, which is the IT security teams, which implements measures to make sure that your data is secure, your website is always running, and no hacker can, uh, hack into your network and steal the data, or worse so, bring down your application. So all these job roles you look at come with different set of skills, and not all of them require coding. So all of them would require to understand how a code works, but your day in day out job wouldn't involve coding. So that's why whenever we look at technology as a career option, we shouldn't limit ourselves by thinking that you should be good at coding. There are the number of opportunities and the options are really vast and to choose from, and very few of them require coding. The others would require you to understand uh, the basics and of that particular domain. So now, considering we have 11, 12 standard students who would be making a career choice shortly after their 12 boards, and if technology is the way they choose to go, we'll see what are the different paths which will lead to a career in IT. So the most common one that every one of you must have heard of is computer and IT engineering. So all the software development principles, etc., all the IT security and IT infrastructure principles get taught as a part of this curriculum, and it kind of builds you for a career in technology completely. But computer engineering or IT engineering is not the only way. The other options are that of you can do a BSc in computer science, you can do BCA, and there are also master courses in computers and related fields that you could do to enter into the field of computing. And also, let's say you didn't take any of this computing path, you do any other, let's say you do BCom or you choose arts, and later, after doing your graduation, you think that the technology sector interests you. You can also do any specific course related to any part of the technology to kickstart your career in technology. And once you enter the technology field, again, the options are limitless based on what your interests are and what areas you work on. So we have 11th and 12th standard commerce students, and uh, I don't want the commerce students to think that technology, they are completely separate from technology, and they would already know that as well. So for commerce graduates, if we look at the careers in software, once you start working, you'll have a software and IT tools where all your accounting, banking, and sales functionalities are built into softwares. So you will be expected to use this software as well. And considering your background in commerce, you understand what is expected out of this softwares. So anyone coming from a different background, it will be very difficult for them to deal with such kind of softwares. But for a commerce graduate, it should be pretty easy to learn to handle any softwares. And people kind of make fully fledged careers out of just technology in commerce. Let's say SAP is a very good example where there are multiple modules that SAP offers where you can get yourself certified and build your career in that. So to talk more about SAP, what it does is all your accounting and banking and all those logics uh, for big organizations, they get implemented as softwares, and they need people to take care of these softwares and handle those. So let's say there's a SAP module called FICO, so which stands for finance and accounting. So you can do a course in SAP FICO and start your career path in that direction, which takes care of your core expertise of commerce and also has a technology flavor to it. So I think that would be all. I would more we can have more of a question and answer session than just a one way of information. So I'll pass it on to maybe Sanika or Renuka ma'am, and you can have the students ask any questions if they have.
Now children will ask questions related if they have students, if you have any questions, you can ask sir now. Raise your hand so that we can take your names. unmute and Srinivas, you can unmute and ask question.
Sir, does designing require coding?
Hi, Srinivas. So that's a really good question. And I understand where you are coming from because you would think of designing as an art form, and it indeed is. So the short answer to that question is a no. So designing, what it entails is of what you need to be good at is creative thinking and design thinking. So it wouldn't require coding, but it will require you to use softwares for design. So for that, uh, you need to know how any basic software works, but you need not have any knowledge of coding. It will just help you to know software in advance, or you can absolutely have zero knowledge of software and still learn it as any other device that you have learned so far.
Coding is important or not?
So yes, so as we looked at examples earlier, uh, why coding is important is it helps you understand how any technology works, and which in turn will help you build your own technology, as we saw. So coding is the simplest place where you can have complete control at any given point. So let's say you can be a 8th standard student, but you can still develop your own code according to your own idea. And you, while doing so, you will face challenges, you will overcome them, and eventually you will have an end result. So that entire process of having an idea and then implementing that idea into a code which finally works, that itself is a big learning curve. So whenever you do so, let's say for the first time, you will see what all you learn as a part of that process. So in that sense, coding is important. It teaches you how to bring your ideas to life. So uh, once you learn that, you can implement that knowledge in any area. So it 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 can be used in whatever work you do eventually as well.
From which age we can start coding?
So as I already mentioned earlier, so you can start coding as early as, say, your first standard, and it doesn't really have to be digital as well. So if you look up online, there will be places, if you're teaching it for someone younger than you, there are ways where you can use a deck of cards and learn coding. And the softwares that we saw, for, let's say, the Scratch software, it is built for students from the age of 8 onwards. So yeah, so in terms of that software, if you're 8 onwards, you can learn there. And but there is still no lower limit to learning. You can start teaching it to a first standard student as well.
Sir, this is Arush Pawar.
Shraddha wants to ask question. Shraddha Agarwal.
Ma'am, Arush Pawar. Sir, which is most popular language for coding?
So currently, it depends on, again, as we saw, software is consist of various parts. But if we look at the part that is facing us, that is on the front end, so the most common language would be Java currently, but that is continuously changing. So depending on changing time, there is the programming language, new programming languages get developed, which are kind of more easy to use, which take care of the problems that the old programming languages cannot. But yes, to start off with, the most common programming language would be Java, or C, C++ as well.
Anyone wants to ask any question? Please raise your hand. 11th standard students.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
Siddharth
also,
Salvi is there. So one student is there, Siddharth Salvi. He wants to ask question.
yeah, sure.
Sir,
Yes.
on which app we can start the coding?
So app itself is a code. So to start off with, if you have no background of coding, the three websites I mentioned, you can use those to start coding in. So they'll teach you coding in pictorial form, and then you can move on to let's say C programming, which is a part of your curriculum as well. So I think I'll just bring up the Scratch app as well. So using you can use this particular website to start coding, where if you go in ideas, there is a choose tutorial where you can learn. There are videos which will teach you, and you go to the create option is where you can create your own projects as well.
So Akik wants to ask question. Akik Deshmukh. You
So
can
what
ask
do you think
question.
about NFTs and cryptocurrencies in general? There's new emerging things in technology, and even about metaverse, like Facebook's new company.
Yes. So we'll take each one at a time. And to tell you frankly, even I don't know how exactly a NFT would work or cryptocurrency would work, or what exactly metaverse is, how it works in the background. But what I understand is, let's say we take NFT first. So NFT is, as they say, a non-fungible token, and it can be used as a a digital currency to buy and sell art. So currently they're using to buy and sell art, and so if you are a digital creator, you can you can create your digital content into an NFT, and then that NFT can be transacted on the digital market. So I think it kind of gets complex. So the basics of understanding is, technically you first need to know how any uh, digital transaction works, and then it's kind of an extension. So extension of that. So even if we talk of cryptocurrency, right? So cryptocurrency, what they say is, we have our normal currency, which and we have our banks and regulators which take care of those currencies that we use day in day out. So in case of India, it would be the rupees. We deal with rupees. If it's US, they deal with dollars. So the government has control over them, and they are the ones who print and distribute them. And we have financial institutions like bank, where you can transact. So everyone has defined. So there's a defined value for, let's say, a 10 rupees note. We know that it's a 100 rupees note is a 10 times a 10 rupees note. So there's that entire system where we use the the physical money to transact. So cryptocurrency, what the idea is, it's completely digital. So you wouldn't have any, let's say, a Bitcoin note. So all the all the transactions uh, of the buy and purchase transactions, or all the banking functionality, is uh, built into the technology itself. So you must have heard that cryptocurrency is based on blockchain. So blockchain is the technology which makes the handling of all the digital transactions easy. So in terms of technology, you look at, so cryptocurrency is a final product, and blockchain is the technology on which it is based. So NFT, I'm not sure of what is the underlying technology, but as of now, they use it to transact your digital arts that you can create, or any digital content. And I think the third one that we talked about was NFT, cryptocurrency. And can you remind me what was the okay. I think it was metaverse. That's where Facebook is leading its business towards. That's why you guys must have heard that they named their company, the parent company, as Meta. Only there is one website, which is Facebook now, which runs as one app and a separate company, and so on. So what metaverse means is, so it's like in any particular game. Let's say we must have, all of you must have played the game. Uh, uh, I guess PUBG is the most common game that most of you would have played or seen your friends play. So in PUBG, so it it's a world in itself, right? Where you are fighting the opponents, and it's a warfare game. So what metaverse uh, is doing is it's virtually building your day in day out spaces. So it will be a virtual world where there will be schools virtually, there will be houses virtually, there will be, so all that we do in the physical world, we will have a virtual representation in the same. So from my work perspective, what they say is the next big thing in metaverse would be all the meetings would be in metaverse. So me as a person, I will have my digital character in the metaverse, and we'll have a platform where we can enter the digital character represents me, and it does whatever it wants. So all the digital data will be in the digital world. So let's say tomorrow you have a physical school you go to, and now you still interact with your teachers via video calls to do your lessons during COVID, right? So conceptually, what there will be a school which is completely digital, and your digital self will be a part of the school. So all whatever is taught in the digital school, you can be saved in your digital self as well. So that's where metaverse is. So these are all new concepts that are coming up, but they're all based on basic underlying technologies which they have been built on.
We will stop question answer session as we are running out of time. Thank you for your guidance, sir. Now I request Rao madam to say few words on this occasion. Rao ma'am.
Yes, Sunita ma'am. I hope I'm
Yes, ma'am, you are
seeing
audible,
here.
ma'am. Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
And
Hello, ma'am.
hi, Prashant. It's long, but we've seen you. A very good morning
Yes.
to you. Good morning,
Very good
children.
morning.
It gives me immense pleasure to see Prashant here because repeatedly I stay connected, seeing his photographs on Facebook and his updates about his progress. But it's very nice to see him here. And believe me, I have attended your full session, Prashant, thinking actually I was having some constraints, thinking that I may not be able to join your session. But the minute I logged in and I saw you and the confidence with which you were making children understand, uh, I continued watching your full session, and I hope that children have really gained a lot of knowledge from his session. He was full. He has given you all possible knowledge that you require as of today in this tech savvy world, because we are old school teachers. Am I right, Prashant? We are
No,
old
not
school
really.
teachers.
We can't really build on what we have without the teachers. So we
Yeah, but true that today this COVID situation has made us also a bit tech savvy.
yes, yes.
We are learning things which you have already learned and progressed. There was a time when we would feel that this field is something that is not achieved so easily. But then now when we see children talking about coding at such a young age and discussing about these issues, for us Python was only an animal, and now we know that it's a computer language.
Yes.
So so it's so nice to hear so many new words from you, and I really admire your confidence, your knowledge, and the way you have progressed. I remember, children, you won't believe, I remember Prashant as a football player on the ground, always in his
Yes.
sports uniform with a kit along with him, and always ready to help. Any teacher, any activity, Prashant Salvi is always there, and enthusiastically as a science teacher, I would say, he would always be a part of our science exhibition.
Yes. Those
So
are great days. Yeah.
it really feels so nice to see your own students progress so much. And today, when you are calling sir, I also too feel like calling him sir, because I learned a
No,
lot from you today.
no, that's
So
a
it
wrong
was.
address for sure. That's what I mentioned on
No,
email
no.
too. Yeah.
When you all have reached that level, we really need to say that yes, Prashant's session was really good today, and I'm sure you are going to gain all the knowledge, and sir is going to stay connected with you all with all your queries and doubts. You can always put it forth to come and she will lead to Prashant, sir. Thank you very much, Prashant, on behalf of Principal Madam, because she is completing her junior college portion and busy with a lot of
Sure,
activities
sure.
and
I
syllabus
understand.
completion. Not the less, but Rajni ma'am is here. She was your class teacher. We all
Yes.
had been for overnight trip. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes, I do. I do. I guess that was the time when
So
the bus was
Rajni
delayed
ma'am
as
will
well.
speak
Yeah.
on behalf of the school. I really thank you for giving your valuable time. And children's, he's come from Singapore all the way to India, and then giving his, when he's come for a quality time with his family, he's given us that valuable time. And in this year of the 50th year celebration, uh, accepted our request and joined us for this session. So thanks once again, Prashant, and over to Rajni ma'am.
Now, ma'am. Now I request Rajni ma'am to say a few words. Rajni ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to all present here. Honorable Principal, ma'am, Supervisor, ma'am, colleagues, dear students, and Prashant.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, dear. I welcome you back to your school, not as a student, but as a speaker. And as Rao ma'am said, it is a proud moment for us to hear you being addressed as sir. You know, that is really very, Raman aptly said all those words about you, which I had actually thought of speaking, and because it is the thought of each and every teacher who's taught you. Students present here, I would like to read a few lines. An ideal student is one who has the qualities of respect, love, self-discipline, self-control, faith, concentration, truthfulness, conviction, strength, and firm determination. Now you must be wondering, why am I reading? The reason is I should not miss out on a single quality about Prashant, because all these qualities aptly fit his personality. As a student also, he was very sincere, and Prashant doesn't know that he left the school in 2005, 10th standard, but after he left also, he has been spoken about, at least by me in all the classes, his sincerity. As Rao ma'am said, he was a football player, and children, for submissions. If he has to go for a match, he would see to it that early in the morning he would come, submit his books, and then go for matches, which many of you take as an opportunity to not to submit. Now, this is a trivial matter, but what I want you to concentrate or understand is his basic nature has brought him where he is now. His respect, his willingness to help, others anytime. It may be teachers, friends. I've been his class teacher for 2 years, and that is what is a memorable time as a teacher with these students who are always there for you to help you. And not only me, they have been like the same with all the teachers who have taught them. So Prashant, I welcome you as a speaker again, once again, and very proud to see you talking. The information given by you, I know a part of it was bouncer for me, but still, since we are into technology nowadays, we are using computers. So a little bit of it, knowledge was useful to me also. Now I understand a bit what I use, the apps and all, what we use, the background of it. We understood. So thank you so much for coming back, representing the alumni of the school, SSPM Day School and Junior College during this 50th year of your institution. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Ram, ma'am. Thank you so much, Rajni, ma'am. The pleasure is all mine
Thank
indeed.
you. And we would really love to see you in school in person.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Do visit. Principal
Yes.
ma'am will be really happy to see you, and
Yeah,
sure to
definitely.
see you.
So
May
I
God
guess-
bless you. May God bless you. May you
Thank
have
you so
all
much,
the
ma'am.
success and progress in life. Do visit us whenever it's possible, and expecting you here for more sessions. I'm
Sure,
sure
sure,
children will vote in favor of that. Yeah, thank you very
sure.
much.
So
Prashant. God
I'll take
bless.
this opportunity to wish all the students a very good luck in all their future endeavors, especially the standard 10th and 12th students for their upcoming board examinations, and also the process that will follow after that. So all the best. And let me remind you that school is the best time you'll ever have. And ours is one of the best schools with the kind of facilities we have for sports and the number of co-curricular activities that are conducted. I think you should make the most of it and participate, because that's where you will unknowingly learn a lot of things. So thank you all for being a part of the sessions. I'll hope to see you all again.
Thank you, sir. Please wait. And now I request all the teachers and students to switch on your videos so that we can click one photo. Yeah. Just 1 minute, ma'am. We are clicking photos. Students, please switch on your videos. Teachers, you are requested to switch on your videos. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, students. Now you can switch off the videos. Thank you. Sanika, yeah, please propose the vote of thanks. Just 1 minute. Let me share the PPTs and then you can start. Yes, Sanika, you can continue.
On behalf of SSPM Day School
Your
and
video
Junior
first.
College. Am I audible?
Audible. Switch on your video.
Ma'am, it is on.
Okay.
On behalf of SSPM Day School and Junior College, I would like to thank today's guest speaker, Mr. Prashant Salvi sir, for giving his precious time and for sharing his knowledge with all of us, and for also making us aware about the opportunities available in information technology. Thank you, sir. I sincerely thank Honorable Principal Ms. Shivali Jagtap ma'am for planning such an informative webinar. I would also like to thank respected supervisor Mrs. Vaishali Rao ma'am for her guidance and cooperation. I would also like to thank media team for creatives and links. I would also like to thank teaching and non-teaching staff and audience for their support and cooperation. Thank you all. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanika. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session and motivating our children. Thank you.
Prashant, thanks a lot. And
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, see you soon in the school. Please do visit the school.
Sure, definitely.
Wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll end the session now.
Thank you, sir.